Yo, England have just beaten Slovakia by 2 goals to 1 after extra time in what was a good day for England, but a bad day for coaching. In this video, I'm going to speak about how poorly set up this England side are, how Slovakia took advantage of this, and the one big positive I believe that all England fans can take from this game. The Slovakia manager, Francesco Calzona, did his homework. He knew that England don't create overloads in wide areas because their fullbacks don't get forward, and that England move the ball very slowly. So Slovakia pressed in a flat, narrow 4-4-2 to congest the middle of the pitch, forcing England to attack in wide areas. The only glimpses of joy that England did get in the first half was when Jude Bellingham drifted into these wide areas where the space was and tried to take the game to Slovakia, only for his end product to let him down. Slovakia's aggressive press in this flat 4-4-2 meant that there was actually a lot of space between the lines to progress the ball, especially in attacking transition. But the lack of bravery on the ball from this England side was astonishing. I completely understand and get that Southgate wants his side to be risk averse in their own half, but professional footballers that play the game at the highest possible level should be trusted to pass the ball forward. So instead of trusting Declan Rice, John Stones and Mark Gahey in possession to play the ball forward and to thread passes between the lines, Kobbie Mainoo appears to have been instructed to stay in line with Declan Rice during this phase, meaning there's another forward-thinking midfielder behind the ball and less options in attacking areas. Not only that, but Jude Bellingham on occasions also dropped in beside Mainoo and Rice to borrow the ball for a few touches, only to lay it off and roam forward again. I'm really not sure if this is under instruction or if the England jersey is weighing too heavy on some of these players, but it's mind-boggling to watch. They also move the ball far too slowly to hurt even comparatively poor opposition. If only they put as much energy and enthusiasm into their performances as they did into their celebrations. And all of this is before we even speak about the absurd structure of this team. Unstructured teams tend to move the ball more slowly and play a higher volume of hopeful crosses into the box because there's no well-drilled patterns of play or plan to guide their attacks. It felt like every single England player was guilty in this game of playing lazy directionless balls into the box, playing right into Slovakia's hands. A lot of people lament Pep Guardiola's approach, calling his sides overcoached, robotic or boring. But what we saw from England today was the very antithesis of that. And perhaps it will help people appreciate just how important coaching actually is, even when you have a really talented squad of players at your disposal. Those same people probably think that most managers could do what Guardiola does with Manchester City's squad of players, but it's really not that simple. The lack of structure or plan was also evident in England players' body language, pointing, gesturing and bickering with each other and stretching out their arms when they're in possession as if to say, where are my options? What are we doing? I have outlined the problems with how Gareth Southgate sets up his teams in my previous videos, and it will just be a copy and paste exercise to mention all of these things again. But I wasn't a bit surprised by how he chose to line out his team today. He clearly believes that the best way to win this tournament is to be conservative, both in terms of continuity of team selection and the way he approaches games of football. For contrast, just look at how Germany approached the game against Denmark yesterday. When attacking, they essentially had a two-man defence of Rudiger and Slotterbeck, with Rom on the left side and Kimmich on the right side, providing the width on the flanks to facilitate Musiala and Sané playing a little bit more on the inside. Southgate is much more risk-averse than Julian Nagelsmann and prefers to have a flat back four for most of the game, and this restricts England in an attacking sense, but in theory it should make them more difficult to break down. I genuinely think that Southgate believes that this approach will pay dividends against better sides who will leave a lot more space for England's top class players to exploit. Prioritise keeping the opposition out, take minimal risks in your own half, don't overcommit to the press, and give freedom to players like Foden, Kane, Bellingham and Saka in the final third, who are all match winners in their own right. As crazy as it might sound to many of us, I think Southgate would have been privately happy with how the tournament had gone before today's game. Nobody will remember these drab, uninspired performances if they go on to win the tournament. After this performance, given just how close they were to bowing out to a really average international side, Southgate might finally fold and make some changes to his side, which I think is the only potential positive from today's game, aside from England progressing into the quarterfinals of the tournament. I firmly believe that if nothing changes tactically or personnel-wise, that Switzerland will beat them next weekend. So does Southgate deserve any credit for the substitutions that he made or for leaving Kane and Bellingham on the pitch? I have defended Southgate so many times in the past, but I refuse to give him any credit for stumbling over the line against this Slovakia side with the squad of players that he has. The substitutions felt like panic-driven, spur-of-the-moment attempts to claw their way back into the game as opposed to being pre-planned changes should England find themselves in this position. I will say that having Kieran Trippier playing slightly higher in the second half and Phil Foden more on the inside did improve things slightly, especially going forward, but he waited far too long before making any more changes to the team. Anyway, that's all from me. If you want to see a more fleshed out breakdown of Gareth Southgate's tactical approach and how I thought England would set up in this tournament, then please do check out my previous video about Gareth Southgate, in which I do explore many of the opinions I've expressed in this video in a lot more detail. Please do give the video a like if you liked it, and consider subscribing for more football related content, including England's quarter-final matchup against Switzerland next Saturday. Lastly, please let me know your thoughts in the comments section. What do you agree or disagree with what I've said? And England fans, what did you make of today's performance? Thanks for watching.